I think Van Halen can deal storm and thunder. Van Halen can go down to the beach with a sword in one hand and a torch in the other and still inject a sense of humor.
September 4th, 1996, Radio City Music Hall. 13 million people tuned in to MTV, waiting for what was billed as a legendary reunion. Backstage, Eddie Van Halen gripped his guitar, hoping this moment would finally calm years of chaos between him and David Lee Roth. But in just 7 minutes, Roth would fire off 4 sentences that crushed Eddie's pride in front of the whole world. That night destroyed any real chance of peace and stamped itself as one of the most humiliating scenes in rock history. The MTV Video Music Awards stage was seconds away from turning into a battlefield, and Eddie Van Halen was about to take the hit. The twist? It felt painfully poetic. This was the same man who reinvented rock guitar and created the famous brown sound players still chased today. Eddie built the legendary Frankenstrat with his own hands, turning it into an icon bigger than most band logos. He recorded Eruption in one clean take, ripped through the Beat It solo that fused pop with metal and survived addictions that almost took him out twice.
I call Van Halen's music an entire pretense big rock.
But none of that mattered now. Under those bright backstage lights, Eddie was walking straight into a moment that would follow him for years. The real enemy is not always the one fighting you in private. It is the one smiling next to you while breaking you down in front of millions. And David Lee Roth? He had been stacking up frustration for over a decade. Maybe it was not planned like some evil scheme, but the tension had been boiling since 1985 when he left Van Halen, convinced he was the real star, the voice, the reason crowds exploded every night. Jump ahead 11 years. Roth's solo run had cooled off while Van Halen, now fronted by Sammy Hagar, kept packing stadiums. That kind of comparison eats at a person. MTV handed Roth the perfect spotlight for payback, dressed up neatly as a reunion. People think televised reunions are sweet and nostalgic. They are not. They are controlled chaos. MTV knew exactly what kind of spark they were striking. They contacted Eddie and Alex separately, calling it a historic moment for the MTV generation, a chance to relive the raw power that made Van Halen unstoppable back in 1984. Eddie hesitated because history with Roth meant pure madness. Their partnership ran on talent mixed with tension, ego mixed with explosions. Recording together felt like stepping into a showdown, where every creative clash got personal. Still, MTV sold the dream hard. Millions of fans missed the original lineup, and this reunion could rewrite the story, maybe even prove time had cooled the old wounds. Eddie agreed, but with strict rules. Keep it simple. No drama, no long speeches, just music. Rehearse a bit, play 2 classics, remind the world why Van Halen changed everything. But Roth, he was moving different. He was not chasing harmony. He wanted a spectacle. No real rehearsals, just unpredictability. A live public clash disguised as celebration. The first red flag showed up 3 days before the VMAs. Eddie and Alex arrived on time at a Manhattan studio, ready to practice. They waited and waited. 40 minutes passed. No Roth. When they finally reached him, Roth brushed it off, blaming scheduling conflicts. He claimed there was no need to rehearse songs they had played 1,000 times. Everything would magically click on stage.
Like I said, it's a combination of the gypsy roving carnival, circus, daycare center, you name it. It's everything all wrapped into one. It's a big parade.
Eddie felt that old knot twist in his stomach, the same warning sign from 1984 when he knew their connection was breaking for good. Still, he swallowed it down, telling himself this was just Roth being Roth. Flashy, dramatic, impossible to pin down. Once the performance energy kicked in, everyone switched into survival mode. That sharp, locked-in focus that only shows up when everything is at risk. If you have never felt the fear of someone from your past holding the power to embarrass you in public, and you cannot stop it, this is that feeling. Because this situation, it was about to get darker, and Eddie Van Halen was walking straight into the flames. September 4th arrived, and Radio City Music Hall was buzzing like a live wire. Celebrities filled the seats, MTV executives hovered around, and fans who grew up watching Van Halen videos were losing their minds with anticipation. The atmosphere felt heavy, part nostalgia, part danger. Eddie showed up early, like always, focused, serious, about the music, not the circus. He found his guitar tech and went straight into his pre-show routine, the same disciplined ritual he'd trusted for years. He tuned the Frankenstrat 3 separate times. Then he adjusted the Variac transformer, carefully setting the voltage sag so his signature brown sound would hit just right through the speakers. Around him, backstage looked like controlled madness. Producers barking into headsets, makeup artists rushing with brushes, assistants clutching clipboards, musicians weaving through tight hallways. In the middle of that storm, Eddie spotted Michael Anthony, the loyal bassist who flew in just for this reunion. But something felt strange. Michael looked tense, and that was not like him. "You seen Dave?" he asked quietly. Eddie shook his head. Roth was somewhere inside the building, but he had been dodging the Van Halen brothers all day, throwing out excuses about vocal warm-ups and meditation before showtime.
You won't find one sexist lyric. You won't find one victimizing sort of thinking. You won't find that victimization tact of thought.
About an hour before they were set to walk on stage, Alex Van Halen pulled Eddie aside. "Something's wrong," he said. "Dave's too quiet. When he's quiet, he's planning something." That line landed heavy. Eddie tried to shake it off, but deep down he knew Alex had a point. His brother could always read Roth's moves. When Roth went silent, that was the real alarm. He lived for attention, thrived on chaos, loved the spotlight. So silence usually meant he was setting up something bold and risky. The final 30 minutes before showtime felt tight and uncomfortable, and even the crew sensed it. The flash exploded. Click. Not a single real smile in sight. The tension was so thick it felt hard to breathe. Roth started tossing out jokes, but every line had an edge, like a smile hiding a blade. His talk about the good old days carried hidden shots only the band would understand, small comments that hit like shockwaves in a quiet room. Eddie stayed silent, his eyes locked on his guitar, the only thing in his life that never switched up on him. Then came the twist that made Eddie's blood run cold. A production assistant hurried over with final notes. 2 songs, Ain't Talking About Love and A Short in Panama. Clean and simple, no drama. Or so it seemed. But MTV slipped in a surprise. David Lee Roth would have a live mic between songs for spontaneous banter. That one phrase changed everything. Eddie's stomach dropped. Spontaneous banter and Roth in the same sentence was risky business. That was like handing a spotlight to someone who never knows when to step back. Eddie tried to object, but the assistant was already swallowed by the chaos of live television. The schedule was locked in tight. Once those cameras went live, there was no rewind button. When Roth walked in, he did not even look at Eddie or Alex. Not once. He moved through backstage like he owned the building, shaking hands, cracking loud jokes, making sure everybody remembered his name. David Lee Roth, the frontman, the voice, the showman who believed he turned a talented band into a global machine. He worked the room like a pro, flashing that signature grin. Eddie watched it unfold, and that heavy dread crept up his spine again. This was not a man gearing up for a calm reunion moment. This felt like someone setting up a second act inside the first one. Something layered, something strategic, bigger than music, and way more personal. Then the lights dropped, and Radio City Music Hall exploded. 13 million viewers leaned closer to their screens as one name lit up bold across the stage: Van Halen. The crowd roared like time had snapped back to 1984. Eddie, Alex, and Michael stepped into position, the energy snapping like live wires. For the first 90 seconds, it was flawless, almost suspiciously flawless. The opening riff of Ain't Talkin' 'Bout Love cut through the arena, sharp and electric. Eddie's fingers flew across the Frankenstrat, every note clean and blazing fast, like he was proving he still ran this game. Alex hammered the drums with thunder and precision, that unmistakable Van Halen punch shaking the room. When the first song ended, the building erupted with applause. It should have been the headline moment, the night Van Halen reunited and proved they still owned the stage. But instead, this was the second David Lee Roth chose to detonate everything. He grabbed the mic with that slick smile Eddie knew too well, charming on the surface, dangerous underneath. Instead of queuing up the next song, he just stood there. 3 seconds, maybe 4. On live TV, that kind of silence feels endless. The crowd slowly quieted, confused but curious. Eddie felt his body tense up, instincts flashing red that something ugly was coming. Then Roth finally spoke. "You know," he said, his voice echoing across the hall with that dramatic tone he mastered years ago. "I forgot the words to the second song." A few nervous laughs bounced around the room. Some people thought it was playful, but Eddie knew better. This was not stage humor. This was a setup, and the real hit was about to land. Roth leaned back into the mic, grin stretching wider. "But that's okay," he added, dragging out the pause just enough to make it sting. "Because unlike some people, I don't need to hide behind a guitar to be interesting." The air went cold. The laughter died instantly. That line struck like a bolt of electricity. 13 million viewers heard it live. The audience inside Radio City heard it. Every reporter in the room heard it. And worst of all, Eddie heard it, standing just a few feet away from the man he once built an empire with. That single sentence did more than embarrass him. It tried to shrink his legacy in one breath. The same musician who reshaped rock guitar was now being mocked on national television like his talent was some kind of shield. The camera cut straight to Eddie's face, and that image spread everywhere. Shock, hurt, anger. It flickered across him before he forced himself still. His hand tightened around the neck of the guitar like it was the only solid thing in that moment. Alex's drumsticks literally paused mid-air. Michael Anthony stared at the floor, jaw clenched tight. And Roth? He felt the shift in the room. He knew the spotlight was fully his. "I mean, Eddie's great and all," Roth continued, flashing that polished grin. "Fantastic guitarist." It sounded like praise, but nobody in that room bought it. It felt like another subtle shot wrapped in fake respect. And he was not finished. "Really virtuoso stuff," Roth added, that smooth tone barely covering the edge underneath. Then he leaned in again. "But you ever notice how he never talks? Never does interviews? Always lets the guitar do the talking." He paused, holding the silence like it was part of the act, and smiled again. "Maybe it's because when you take away the instrument, there's not much left to say." The crowd reacted with a strange mix of gasps and awkward laughter. On the surface, it looked like playful teasing, but anyone who knew their history felt the sting immediately. This was not friendly back and forth. This was humiliation playing out in real time. Millions watching at home thought they were seeing a fun reunion between old bandmates. But people inside the industry saw the truth. David Lee Roth was blowing up any real shot at a comeback. While rewriting the band's legacy on live TV, he was not just poking at Eddie's personality, he was flipping the story, framing Eddie's quiet nature, his habit of letting the music speak, like it was a flaw instead of the heart of a true artist. The second song, Panama, technically happened, but the spirit was gone. They hit every note because Eddie always delivered with precision. That part never slipped. but the fire? Drained. The chemistry that once made Van Halen explosive felt flat. On stage, it looked less like a celebration and more like someone finishing a contract before walking away from a mess. When the final chord rang out, the audience clapped because that is what crowds do. But even the applause felt off, hollow, like everyone sensed something uncomfortable had just unfolded under those bright lights. Eddie did not bow, did not wave, did not even glance up. He walked straight off stage, gripping the Frankenstrat, face locked and unreadable. He went directly to his dressing room and shut the door behind him. Alex followed fast, knocking hard, trying to talk to his brother. But Eddie stayed inside. Alone in that room, surrounded by glowing mirrors and fake backstage smiles, Eddie had to face something he had avoided for years. This relationship was not just strained, it was damaged beyond repair. Fame could not fix it. Success could not smooth it over. Nostalgia could not clean it up. What Eddie did not fully grasp in that moment, while cameras kept rolling and the after-party buzzed down the hallway, was how long those words would echo. From that night forward, every interview, every documentary, every deep dive into Van Halen's story would circle back to the 1996 MTV blow-up. Those 4 sentences turned into rock history, picked apart like evidence in a courtroom. Critics argued non-stop. Was Roth calculated, or did he just let it rip without thinking? Either way, the impact stuck. The world had just watched any real hope of a reunion collapse, live and impossible to ignore. MTV's staff quickly realized what had just gone out to the world. Not a warm reunion, but a public takedown dressed up as entertainment. Their damage control team jumped into action, coaching VJs to frame it as just another wild rock and roll moment. But no spin could erase what viewers saw. One man's ego stepping all over another man's dignity in front of 13 million people. Meanwhile, in California, Sammy Hagar, who had replaced Roth in '85 and was still officially in Van Halen at the time, watched it unfold from home. Later, he admitted he felt validated. For years, Roth had taken shots at him, saying Van Halen without him was second-rate, like a copy of the real thing. But on that live broadcast, Roth showed exactly why the Van Halen brothers had moved forward without him. Around midnight, the phone would not stop ringing. Eddie's hotel room line lit up nonstop. His manager, his lawyer, reporters fishing for comments, even major rock names checking in to show support. But Eddie ignored every single call. Not one answer. He sat quietly with the Frankenstrat resting across his lap. He did not play it. He just held it. That guitar had always spoken when he did not want to. It had carried him through pressure, fame, and personal battles. But that night, even that comfort felt shaky. For once, the music did not block out the noise. How do you explain something like that? How do you tell people that someone you once created with, someone you shared stages and dreams with, used the biggest spotlight in the world to question your identity? It was not just a disagreement. It felt personal. It felt targeted. Public embarrassment at that level hits deep, not physical, but emotional. It can shake how you see yourself and how you think others see you. For Eddie Van Halen, that sting went straight to the core. All his life, Eddie had faced quiet struggles. He was the kid who moved from the Netherlands to Pasadena and had to learn a new language. He dealt with feeling different, feeling shy, feeling out of place. Music became his safe space, the one language where he felt strong and understood. So when Roth aimed his words at him on live TV, it touched something sensitive. Whether intentional or not, it tapped into an old insecurity, the fear that without his guitar, he might fade into the background. That MTV moment felt precise. It went straight at the question of identity. Was he valued for who he was or just for what he could play? In the days after that broadcast, Eddie made a rare move. He sought therapy. Not for fame, not for career stress, but to process that night. He needed clarity on why it cut so deep. And during one session, his therapist told him something he would carry with him for years. Some people can't celebrate others without cutting them down. That line hit Eddie hard. It explained everything in a simple, brutal way. Roth's ego and Eddie's greatness could not share the same spotlight for long. For Roth to shine, Eddie had to look smaller. And deep down, that dynamic had probably been there for years, buried under fame, chaos, and huge paychecks. The therapist helped Eddie see something else, too, how calculated that move really was. By hiding the insult inside a joke, by smiling while delivering it, Roth protected himself. If Eddie reacted, he would look sensitive, the guy who can't take a joke. MTV could brush it off. Headlines could spin it. Roth could shrug and act innocent. It was a clean setup, smart and harsh at the same time. Eddie had two options: stay quiet and absorb it, or push back and risk looking insecure. Either way, Roth controlled the narrative that night. That moment left a mark on Eddie. It was not just embarrassment. It shifted how he moved through life. The musician who already avoided interviews pulled back even more. His trust, worn down by years of band tension, got thinner. Every meeting, every deal, every promise started to feel risky, like there might be another surprise waiting. When Van Halen later split with Sammy Hagar in 1996, there were many reasons: creative friction, business stress, burnout. But the MTV fallout added weight. It deepened existing cracks and made future teamwork feel harder to believe in. Eddie retreated more into his home studio, the famous 5150 compound, his personal stronghold. Inside those walls, he controlled the sound, the equipment, the mood. No executives whispering, no cameras searching for reactions, no polite smiles hiding sharp intentions. Just Eddie and his guitar, the one relationship that never switched up. That isolation was not just comfort, it was protection. He had seen how quickly public moments could flip. One live broadcast, a few sentences, and years of reputation could feel shaken. And that is the real heartbreak in this story. What Eddie and Roth built in the late 70s and early 80s was bigger than both of them. When Eddie's creativity collided with Roth's stage presence, it sparked something powerful, a sound, an energy that shaped an era. But success can twist things. Ego can choke chemistry. By 1996, that once electric partnership had turned tense and fragile. That MTV night became the breaking point, the second where collaboration turned into conflict in front of the whole world. The original Van Halen formula, Eddie's explosive guitar work mixed with Roth's bold charisma, helped define rock music. It felt unstoppable, like pure lightning captured on stage. But here is the hard truth. Creating legendary art together does not mean two people share the same mindset or even get along. For David Lee Roth, that MTV moment in 1996 probably felt like a win. He reminded the world he was the front man, the loud, larger-than-life face of Van Halen. Yes, the band had kept dominating stadiums with Sammy Hagar, but in one live TV flash, Roth pulled the spotlight back to himself. Still, in doing that, he revealed something the industry had whispered about for years. His ego always led the way. After that night, reunion talks kept popping up. Plans were floated, meetings were teased, fans got hopeful. But every attempt ran into the same wall. Once trust breaks that publicly, it is almost impossible to glue it back together. Not after millions watch it crack in real time. Eddie Van Halen passed away on October 6, 2020, and that original bond was never fully restored. There were later tours with the classic lineup, structured, tightly managed, every move carefully planned to avoid more chaos. But the raw spark that once powered Eruption and Panama was different. Time, pride, and old wounds had changed the chemistry. That night at Radio City was more than tension between bandmates. It was a lesson about creative partnerships. The same traits that make someone electric on stage can create conflict behind the curtain. Confidence can tip into arrogance. Showmanship can slide into control. The drive to shine can push people to step on others without even blinking. Eddie took that hit in the toughest way possible. Live, unfiltered, in front of 13 million viewers. Yet he stayed composed. No shouting, no public meltdown, just that steady, focused presence he always carried. And here is the part that really stands out. While the comments from that night faded into rock history debates, Eddie's sound kept growing louder. The brown sound he crafted became iconic. His tapping style reshaped guitar playing. The Frankenstrat became a symbol. His studio tricks and voltage tweaks influenced generations. Roth once joked about him hiding behind his guitar, but the years proved something different. Eddie was not hiding, he was communicating. 6 strings, a cranked amp, pure innovation. He did not need flashy speeches. His music carried more weight than any on-stage jab ever could. In the end, Eddie's legacy rose above the tension, above the headlines, above that uncomfortable night. His sound did not just echo. It shifted the direction of rock music. If this story opened your eyes, make sure to like, drop a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe for more deep dives like this. Appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.